I'm back on my commentary on Mr. Kerry Lathan. Now, I just want to say from the very beginning that I honestly wanted to believe that Kerry Lathan was innocent in the situation. I'm not here to accuse anybody. I just want to know the facts about what really happened on March the 31st, 2019. So, again, I didn't want to believe that Mr. Kerry Lathan had anything to do with the situation. I thought that he just went up to the store to get his t-shirt like he said. He went outside to talk to Nipsey Hussle, and then a shooting occurred. But as we know, because he decided to give his interview on Vlad TV with his middleman Big U, so when he even started having that conversation, I started feeling like his story just started falling apart as soon as he had Big U be the middleman, going back between him and DJ Vlad when he was telling his story. So again, we're going to go ahead and jump into his testimony that he gave to the grand jury and see how that differs from the story that we heard originally. So again, as we know, he never went up to the store to get a t-shirt. He never went inside of the store, and I'll show you guys that where he actually testified that he never went into the store. So all that stuff about him going to get a t-shirt and then he saw Nipsey was made up. And then he says that he made that story up because he was in fear of getting in trouble for associating with the gang member when you got in trouble anyway. But I don't believe any of that. But we're just going to go ahead and continue with his testimony, and you guys can be the judge on whether you believe it or not. So, in the very beginning of his testimony, they were going over his immunity agreement and just needed to know if he needed to talk to his lawyer about anything because, of course, she was not able to be in court with him that day. So Kerry Lathan went on to say that he did go up there and he never went in the store. And when he did get out the car, he went up and he approached Nipsey, and they were having a conversation. He said minutes after that is when Eric Holder walked up and said, "You're through." And then he started shooting. Now, what the prosecutor also was trying to establish was at the fact that, and we all could see this from the videotape, and as the prosecutor is asking Kerry Lathan questions, he's also showing him the videotape and he's also showing him photos. So the prosecutor establishes that Kerry Lathan's back was up against the car, and at that time it was the white Audi that was out there. So he's leaned up against the white Audi. So according to him, when the shooter comes up, he turns and he looks at the gun because the guy says you're through, and we know that that's Eric Holder. And then he says Eric Holder shoots, and then he tried to run, and then he drops to the ground. Well, the prosecutor clearly is having a hard time believing this because he says you looked at the shooter, but you did not see his face, and he made it a point to say he didn't see anything, he doesn't know anything. And but however, he saw the gun and he said he saw the flash, and then that's when he tried to run and then he fell and was shot in his back. Well, we all know that that's kind of impossible because you said, and this is Kerry Lathan's words, that he believes that the first shot that came out of that gun is what struck him in his back. But if your back was up against the car, then how is it that you were able to get shot in your back? But again, like I said, because he didn't have Big U in the courtroom with him, being in the middle, and orchestrating him on what to say, he also goes on to say that the reason that he has a walker is because when he was released from prison back in, I believe it was September of 2018, that he had a stroke before he got out of jail. So that's what requires him to have a walker at this time. So I'll leave it up to you guys to decide if he's walking on that walker because of his stroke, as he testified, or if because he was shot in his back. And I'll also show you the testimony where him and the prosecutor are going back and forth because clearly the prosecutor doesn't believe that he's been shot because your back was up against the car when the shots were fired. You just so happened to drop to the ground at the same time as Nip. And again, my personal opinion, that was because you were out there and you were a part of the setup, and not because you were afraid to tell the truth, because he also went on to say that he and his nephew Shermy lives together. So unless Shermy is in the halfway house, then I don't understand how you guys live together, or unless that was a lie, Kerry Lathan was not living in the halfway house and he's actually living with Shermy. And this is what he testified to, and I'll also show you that as well. So basically, in his testimony, it was just, he's just going all around about how he has to have therapy and oh he's so hurt and he's basically just trying to get money out of the case. He said he's going to, pursue it from all legal aspects. However, they don't even believe, the prosecutor doesn't believe that he's been shot. And again, his immunity agreement, if he tells another lie because they already caught him in a lie, then he will go to jail. So when the trial actually starts, if he comes with a whole nother story, then he could be held accountable and liable for some things as well. But again, I'm going to show you guys his testimony. He also did state that Black Sam was on the scene, on the scene in no time, and he was actually out there tending to Nip as well. Now, he also said that when Nip got shot, that Nip called out a name because somebody came out, they were screaming and said, "Who did this? Who did this to you?" However, according to Kerry Lathan, he says he doesn't know what name it was, but he did hear Nip say a name. So again, y'all, this stuff is all over the place. But another person that I feel like that's very important to this case, and he's not a witness on the list, but Steve Lobel. Now, if you guys don't know who Steve Lobel is, he is Nipsey's former manager. And he was also seen the night before, that Saturday night, at the game, the Texas Tech game against Gonzaga. I believe it was the Elite Eight game, and he was also at the game with Nip. So I'm wondering, just my personal opinion, was he there, checking out Nip's moves? Because you wouldn't, really try to suspect him in anything. But however, I saw him recently post a picture with Big U. So that has me wondering. So y'all stay tuned. Y'all leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Kerry Lathan and his shaky testimony. And I'm going to come back with a video on Steve Lobel. And I'm also going to come back with a couple other witnesses, the last two witnesses that were being interviewed in this case. And then we're going to do a couple different things because we're going to start putting the pieces together to this puzzle and we're going to figure this out. So again, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. This is News for Your Ass. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be back with another video on Steve Lobel and Big U.